Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our M-Lurn and Gamification Mechanics session. We'll use this session to showcase our M-Lurn product and then as well the gamification mechanics that we use as part of M-Lurn to ensure better retention of information and engagement from our learners or employees. So, if we look at the bird's eye view of mobile learning or our M-Lurn product, apologies, the reason behind it and the way that we implement it is to boost motivation and engagement. Standardized assessments, it's transparent to all and no favoritism is involved. It applies instant feedback. It increases your learning span. It reinforces learning. It increases in knowledge retention and recall. It enhances productivity and impact on the bottom line. It is freedom of self-paced learning. Ensure the learner's attention and engagement to training. It gives us a flexible use of gamification. There's a better learning experience and a learning environment. It's prompting behavioral change on each individual, and it can be applied for most learning needs. If we look at gamification itself, gamification is the introduction and integration of game mechanics and game logic in a non-game setting to drive engagement and increase participation and motivation. We don't add games physically to a website or a portal. We only use game mechanics to entice learners or employees to engage better. So if we look at the current typical game mechanics that is available, it's the accrual of points, obtaining of badges, the leaderboards, your status, progress bars, levels and tiers, and challenges. So gamification uses psychology to motivate employees, drive higher employee engagement and productivity, and resulting in improved business performance. Effective gamification is based on the end user's needs, which motivates human behavior, and it's not a blanket application of available technology and functions. So to give you an idea or an indication on retention of learned information, if you look at the space retention on the screen, from where you actually absorb it, or if you get it over a period of time, your retention in information on a normal route, if it's not reiterated or reinforced, after 10 days, it's almost nothing. Where if you add repetition to it, it actually increases in retention of knowledge. So gamification itself and the psychology behind gamification. The foundation of gamification is based on a reward system that rewards users for doing an activity well. This rewards based on system targets the brain's dopamine supply, increasing motivation as more points, badges, and rewards are earned. If you think at it as instant gratification, because that's basically what it is, instant gratification for professionals. It's a reward center for your brain, which can be influenced, and it's often seen in social media, where developers actually use hooks in products to produce rewards and instant gratification. If you look at Facebook and the way that Facebook works, and how many times per day you actually look at Facebook and have a look at Facebook, or if you start playing an actual game, the gratification that you receive from that by playing an actual game. So figure 2 is actually the way that we bring in gamification. So we use the Maslow hierarchy of needs, which is your self-actualization, esteem, your belonging, feeling of safety, and of course physical needs based on that. And this is how we actually bring and design gamification mechanics within learning material or in our games. So game mechanics, if you look at the game mechanics itself, the intrinsic motivators is purpose, autonomy, and mastery. So through game mechanics, we actually use quests, discovery games, your epic meaning, points, your progression levels, status and achievements, your ranks, reputation, social cohesion, and community dynamics to bring in all of this through all of the methods in the product itself. So on the autonomy, it gives people motivation when they feel like they are in charge and tend to stick to their goals longer if this feeling is present. If we look at value, value is if someone enjoys the end goal or subject that is being taught, and they are more likely to be motivated and actively participated and engaged in its completion. If you look at competence, competence is to better someone the better someone gets at a task or a game, the more motivation they have to continue to master it. So this is basically how we drive engagement and how we use the available tools to entice engagement depending on the end user or learner's needs, their psychological needs and drivers. So how do we actually bring that about? This is basically how we bring in the game mechanics. If you look at your reward system, you basically have a points board. If you want to look at status, if a person's drive is status, the levels are there. If you look at achievement, that is basically challenges, where you bring in challenges. If you look at self-expression, self-expression is where we link to a virtual goods store. Then if you look at competition, competition is where you go to your scoreboards and the various leaderboards. And if you look at altruism, that is where we can link, instead of a virtual goods, actually to a gifting or charity, where they can redeem their points, accrue their experience points towards a specific charity or cause. And this is how we achieve that. So we spoke about the points, the leaderboards, all of that. That is the reason why we brought in all of this into the system itself. We can basically, through what we have, take any learner or any employee using the available tools and take them through the Maslow process and engage them through the Maslow hierarchy, depending on their needs. So how do you actually use this, and where do you sell M-Lurn, and what can it be used for? So if you look in the sales, for sales acceleration and enablement, whether it's at conventions, meetings, or events, getting your clients, customers to actually engage by means of this, you can create a game within the system and use it for that. For sales technique training, product training, I'm not going to go in depth into each of these. If you have any questions, you can afterwards just give it to me, please. Product training to increase product knowledge, brand storytelling, cross-selling, and also upselling. I see upselling is not here, but you can use it for upselling as well. Normal customer knowledge, which goes hand in hand with your brand and product training as well. Channel training, field team training, company policies, which also links to the HR, to our PAS portion through that. Then if we look at the HR portion, onboarding, and like I said, all of our products, and that's what's nice, they can coexist with each other and they're fully integrated. So you can give a mixed solution, which is more complete than anybody else's solution out there. So as part of your onboarding process, employer branding and culture, and bringing that to the employees. Continuous training, I see it's continuing, it's continuous training. Compliance and the various compliances, so whether it is safety and health, or we can do it through our M-Lurn product. A who's who, getting to know everyone that is involved. Having short bios, for instance, and introductions can be done through M-Lurn as well. For knowledge assessments, straightforward. Policy awareness, and then reinforcing that with knowledge assessments as well. Your customer engagement, where you can actually have contests, games, and brand engagement through the system, through our M-Lurn system. And then if we link that to the social media portion, it gives you a viral effect. So this can be used as part of your marketing campaign or integrated into a marketing campaign as well. Okay, marketing's at the bottom, at the bottom. So on your marketing, you can have product launches and get everybody to sign up to the app. And from there, go to the product knowledge and product training. So you can use a variety of this as an outcome that you need to do. Promotions and campaigns, visual merchandising, study and market trends, because we can ask pertinent questions to all of your clients out there if they are using our M-Lurn product. We can actually retrieve more information that is available, allowing us to do a better market segmentation of the clients and the prospective clients out there, which also helps then with upselling and all of the other nice sales information that you need. If you look at other ways that we can use it, it's for internal news, your company communication, safety and regulation. I think we already covered that also almost as part of onboarding. New processes that you need to install in your clients or in your employees, and then software training to enable software training as well. These are only some of the ways or some of the uses where M-Lurn can be of use, and ideas for you depending on what your client's need is on how to position the product. So we have given all of you access to our eLearn and M-Lurn platform. You're more than welcome. Please go and download it. I'll resend the invitations as well. And I've also given you access to a couple of the games already in the system that you can have a look at the games itself. And based on what we spoke about and the way in which we bring in psychology into the games, you should be able to relate on how easy it is, now that you know what is being used, to see how it's introduced by means of the games. Okay, so I'm going to enable everybody's microphones now again. Then we've got our question and answers time. Okay. Most probably, Bryce, you're going to be the first to ask a question.
Sorry about that. So my first question is kind of a bit, I don't know whether it's, I'm very interested in the underlying model that you've just described, linking it back to Maslow. So 2 questions. Do you have a particular person who has driven this for you? In other words, do you have a Mfundisi out there somewhere that did that for you? Or is it you? I know you're a multi-skilled person. I mean, really multi-skilled, but I'm just, and number 2, when you do this, do you use a platform to build the game mechanics? Or do you have, I mean, you know, how do you start it? So 2 questions. Is there some Mfundisi in the background that you've got that does this kind of underlying logic? And number 2, is there a platform, and you know, like you can go into Adobe something or other and you know, make game mechanics work on a course?
Okay, this is going to be a very long answer. Yes. All of the above? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got, Sholem is also busy. He's currently doing his doctoral in gamification as well. Yes. So I've got a little bit of experience in gamification and psychology, and the reasoning behind gamification. But then we also have game developers. So depending on the client's needs and depending on the end user, will depict as to who we actually use and what we use and the tool set that we actually use. All of the tools is as a standard available in the system, but it it's more about how you put it together than it is about what tool you use.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yes, it does. I mean, obviously, these are tool sets that we're not currently familiar with.
Yes, that is where the certified comes versus
accredited. Accredited. Remember, accredited is a very important word.
Yes.
Okay, because I must say, I thought, you know, the linking to Maslow and showing how the gamification or the game mechanics fit with that framework is actually very, very smart.
We are clever.
And you can actually explain it to people. You know, that bar chart thing you did, you can explain to them why you're using gamification techniques to facilitate learning. That, in conjunction with the Maslow diagram, means that you can probably explain it to most reasonably intelligent people at the helicopter level anyway.
That's correct, and that's why we did it. We don't want this to be, if you look at the competition and the way our competition introduces it, the chances that they are using the same is very slim, and they must probably either work on a hit and run basis, or they are unbelievably expensive. So we've simplified that. So we don't really want that to become too public, if I can call it that. But we'll discuss it and see what we can do to, instead of having a direct relation is to Maslow, because that everybody understands, is that we perhaps do some other association and then bring it through. But that is the logic behind how we do gamification.
Look, to a degree, you can obviously, rather like with situational leadership, you can have your own model,
yes,
and you can brand it, and eventually everyone will. I mean, originally Hersey and Blanchard almost had a patent on situational leadership, and you weren't allowed to use the word unless you used their name in the next breath. But over time, situational leadership has become a generic product. So I don't think you, and this is just my own view, I don't, because I worked with Hersey and Blanchard at one stage, I don't think you can hide the model, but you can try and at least protect your IP a little bit by saying this is a registered diagram, and whatever the terminology is. Because if I could just, and again, I'm sorry, I always have a lot to say. What worries me, and I have, you know, most people of our generation, and even generation or two earlier, other than for the millennials, the minute you talk about gaming, they go yeah. You know, they may well be gaming themselves. They may sit there and play noughts and crosses and all sorts of other things, but they can't see what the serious
they don't have the reasoning. They don't.
That's exactly right.
It, yes.
Yeah. So in a way, you've got to dress it up by saying, look, we have a model that uses Maslow's hierarchy of needs to reinforce the key drivers of behavior and motivation. We call it gamification, but you can call it what you want to. But basically, it's a way of making people engage with the learning process. So I just, as I say, I'm not being rude about gamification. I just know, I mean, you know, Sholem and I did a presentation to someone that I know very well who's smart, and you know, the minute you talk about gamification, it triggers all sorts of things, you know, going right back. You'll remember those early games where you just had the two paddles and you hit the ball back and forth, bodoing.
Yep. I actually still have it, and I've even designed my own version of that, if you want to play it.
You sound like the kind of person that would, yeah.
But in any case, like I say, we just don't want it to become too public. You know, if you use this model to onboard a client, by all means, that they know why and how it happens. But we're not going to publish that on our website. And that's why the videos like that, the one that we're currently recording, is not made publicly available. So you're more than welcome, and you can use that, in your normal client demos as well, where you do a client demo or a client engagement, that they know the reasoning and they understand that. But we're not going to publish it publicly, just to see if we can get a bit of if we can maintain that edge. Because
I understand. Yeah,
because
I understand it. I just think,
any competitor to basically use our model and say that's what we're doing.
Because in a way, it is the heart of. So to me, I hear you, but trying to find a way to protect it and to brand it so everyone, rather like the situational leadership initially, everyone knew it was Hersey and Blanchard. So now maybe this needs to be Dirk Pottas and Shulam Hirschfield or whoever, but it's someone's IP that. If you use it, you have to acknowledge that it's theirs.
Yeah, but South African IP laws in any case doesn't allow you to do that. South African IP laws are unbelievable, outdated or inundated, so they can't actually protect anything in South Africa. So it doesn't help us even going that route with this. South African IP laws is just
too broad,
completely ineffective. Okay, any other questions, Bryce?
let me give someone else a turn.
If we currently have a look, we've got a POV shot of Graham as well.
Come on, Graham. Graham, ask a question. Ask a question, Graham.
Can I make a statement?
You're more than welcome to.
I think I'll just go and pick Bryce's brain. We'll connect sometime. I think what I'm going to need to do is to, once the series is finished, is to go back to the beginning and watch it from the beginning and just piece it together as a collective, as opposed to breaking it up into pieces, and then just keep on re-engaging until it finds traction.
Yes. No, that's definitely. I actually am not sure if we've shared. Sorry, that is our RMA system on the screen now as well. That's PAUSE. It's a single system. We'll cover that in the next episode. But through a single system, you can actually do your HR as well as your C-Learn and all of that. But we'll cover that in the following. I just want to see, we've got another presentation that we actually use. I'm not sure if we've made it available to you guys as yet, but that should give you a very good indication if you want to look at the system and how the system fits in together. So we basically have this beehive type of thing, and as you go through the beehive, we go through, it's the same as the first slide, where you actually have each product, what they can do, what they bring to you, the various securities, until you get to the final one, which actually gives you an overall bird's eye view of the system and its functionality. Bryce, I believe that's basically what you're trying to do with picturing it all. And
I'm with Graham. Einstein said, make it as simple as possible and no simpler. But the challenge we've got is we're going to go to people with familiar concepts like performance management and training needs assessments and so on. And then we're going to layer it with unfamiliar stuff.
Yes.
So we need to find a way that it can kind of squirm in there and it kind of fits in to their model of reality, because otherwise we're going to end up they're going to all think we ultra techie people, and it's a real thing. I was talking to a client tonight, and he's got a problem because we want to use Slack in the business. And one of the older guys is saying, you people, all you want to ever do is use IT and technology. And, I just want results. And, so you got to find a way to get around those defenses, if you like.
Yeah, it's definitely what, it's the same as with gamification in the workplace. If you look at gamification as such, the perception of your less junior people, I don't say older people, your less junior people, is that we pay you to work. We don't pay you to play.
That's exactly right. Yeah, no, that's right.
And I know it's getting your head around it to actually pay someone to play, because you know you've got a lot of chances as well. So if I actually allow them now to play a game, they're going to constantly play a game. And they don't understand that the game, or what we call a game, is actually training.
Yeah, no, I hear you. But it is a real barrier. I mean, literally, the minute you use the word game with a manager, he's going to say exactly what you've just said. We don't pay them to play games.
Yeah.
So how we package it is going to be quite challenging, I think.
Yeah, I ran into that wall a couple of times already. So I know definitely that is a concern, especially with your older people. So, and unfortunately, most of your business owners are not young people that understand it.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Bryce, any other thing? Any other
Can
question?
I ask another question? Yeah, if I could. I've been through, I've been through the training directory,
Yes.
and I've ranked them. I mean, this is my own ranking, so it's nothing to do with the value or otherwise. And I've what I'm trying to do, I've given them 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and in terms of how I think they would play in the corporate sector. So without being, I mean, this is my own personal take. So conducting effective performance, delegation, developing a training needs analysis, diversity training, giving effective feedback, goal setting, leadership skills. I've put those all, I've given all of those a 5. And then I've said, well, if I had to do my top 5 of my 5s, I would choose conducting performance, team building, ABCs of supervising others, the professional supervisor, and probably giving effective feedback. So what I'm asking in a roundabout way is, could you give us access to 1 or 2 of these courses? Because I'm not judging, but I'd like to just get a sense of, what's the right word? The quality, the depth, the extent, the range, whatever you want to call it. So I don't really mind which courses they are, but if and maybe other people are not that interested, but if I'm going to sell a course to someone and say, listen, why don't you put all your supervisors on the ABC of supervising others course? I'd like to have an idea of what I'm selling them.
No, that you definitely have a valid point. You definitely have a valid point, and yes, we can.
It can just be 1 or 2, just so I get, I mean, that one, I mean, a lot of, frontline managers, that would be a standard sort of thing, ABCs of supervising others.
Yes.
And then maybe the professional supervisor, and then time management's one that everyone battles with. I write course material and I use.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely give you. I'm also busy with one of our next sessions is going to be the course catalog, but if you look at currently, these are some of the companies where our course catalog let me just go up, have been implemented at. So they're up the alley from you guys, University of KZN. They are actually using the course catalog that we've implemented. To give you an idea, but we'll give you access and you can have a look at those courses. As part of the course catalog session that we're going to have, I've compiled, based on recruitment and all of that, your top 10 soft skills that is needed out there and valued. And then based on the soft skills, I've actually ranked or added the courses. So a soft skill, which we see as a soft skill, I've actually created as a category, and I've added about 10 courses to each of the soft skills which you can have. Okay. Any other questions? Rian, do you need any clarification?
No, I'm fine for now. Thanks, Dirk.
Okay. Graham, I know you're going to review everything again afterwards and give us a summarized book of what you found?
Well, I'll bribe Bryce with a good cup of tea.
Okay, awesome. Then if that's that, I'm going to stop the session. Wait, Bryce is back again. So let's just admit him.
Sorry, Dirk, I lost you there. I think my connection's up to Paw here. And how I need to find someone from Telkom and hang them from a tree or something. But can I just ask you, because I lost you for about 3 or 4 minutes there. You were talking about the courses who they're being used by. Okay, I'm with you. I can see that. That's fine.
Okay. And what we're also going to do as part of one of the next sessions, I'm going to go through the course catalog.
Yes.
And as part of that, what I've done as well, I've created the top 10 soft skills as being viewed currently in the marketplace. So if you, for instance, if you're looking at HR point of view of this, but what I've done is the soft skill itself, I've created as a category, and I went and I added, the top 10 most valued soft skill courses that we currently have under each of those. So, and that can also give you a good indication. The next step will be to do a further breakdown and to link all of those soft skills basically to specific job functions as well. But that's something which I currently don't really know at this current point in time. I have the time to do, but it's one of the things that we're actually working towards, so that you can, if you've got an office administrator, you basically have this package, you've got this 25 courses, go and do it.
That's fantastic. In a sense, I don't know whether Graham was still in the meeting then, but we talked about that because in a way, if you can link particular jobs with particular KPIs, and those KPIs with particular competencies, and those competencies with particular courses, then you can give people a kind of pathway to success. You can say, before you can move from this to that, you need to have done A, B, C, D, E and been found competent. So you can, and I think that's very powerful. I've only ever come across one company that did it, two actually. Nestle, when I worked for them, they did it.
These guys did
and then
courses.
And that's fantastic, because then you can, when you're doing your PDPs and your performance counseling and all that kind of good stuff, you can say to people, listen, you're doing fine, but you do realize you've got to do A, B, and C before we can consider you for career progression.
That's great.
Or, and so you can be incentivizing people, and at the end of the day, I think a lot of it is about trying to get people more engaged in their jobs. And if you can show them a path, then people will go for it.
Yes, no, that's definitely, and that's one of the reasons why we actually created a single, all-encompassing solution.
Yes. Because
none of these can work, or none of these actually work to their fullest potential in isolation. And you need to have all of them together to enable you to make better decisions. Okay.
That's great. No,
I just want to thank Graham. If you look at the current window or the video, he's providing us a heck of a lot of fun with his video currently being on. So thank you, Graham. Wait, could I switch it off now?
Now put his thumb over the lens.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, that was just a bit of fun. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop the recording then. Not everybody can hear the fun that we currently have with Graham. But I'm going to stop the recording. But if there's any other questions, you're more than welcome. I'm going to be online still, so we can continue. I'm just going to stop the recording there now.